that okay, you guys?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the High Desert Pawedcast. I'm Rob.
And I'm Ben.
And we are broadcasting from beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico, from the Santa Fe Animal Shelter.
From our wonderful shelter where we are able to do incredible things like fix dogs like Pancho here, who we'll talk about in a little bit, thanks to incredible support from you, our listeners and our supporters.
Exactly. We have this show every week, and you can find it on YouTube, SoundCloud. You can download it on your iPhone, your Android phone. You can get it off our website. We're everywhere. So just search High Desert Pawedcast in Google if you use the Google, and it'll come right up. Please share it with your friends, like it, review it on iTunes. It's really important for us to get out to new viewers and listeners. So if you have the opportunity, please support us by doing that.
And spread the word about all of the wonderful things we are doing here at the shelter.
Exactly. So, Ben,
Hi.
we have an excellent guest on the show today. Nellie Goetz is one of our veterinarians here. She only came on a couple of months ago. But she's a really interesting person. She does a lot in the world of spay-neuter, and she is studying it at Johns Hopkins right now to kind of improve and widen those initiatives around the country, as well as trying to educate more people about zoonotic diseases. So we have a couple of topics.
I can't even say that. I don't even know what that means.
Zoonotic diseases. I think it's just diseases
that are contagious from the zoo.
Right. Like animal diseases, especially tick-borne ones, apparently.
Anyway, Nellie's really cool, and we welcome her on the podcast and just stay with us, and she's going to be really incredible. And also we have pet news, which is pretty awesome this week. We are going to talk a little bit about, is Caesar Milan in the doghouse? What happens when a retriever brings home something you don't want? And what's all this about the polar bear? Is it about global warming in Santa Fe? You'll find out. Watch us.
And we have a very, very cute surprise later on in recognition of a very special animal holiday this week.
Can you say cute puppy?
Cute puppy.
Can you say cute puppy, Pancho? So Pancho right here is one of our, he's not a puppy anymore. He and his litter mate, Jade, our 10-year-old Chihuahuas who were relinquished when their owners, the animals' health problems just became insurmountable for the owners. And that's because they didn't do anything with them. But the poor guys came in here. He had incredible, terrible teeth. We had to completely reconstruct his jaw because of dental issues. And also he had some fracture issues with he has some bone structural issues. And anyway, so he's now available for adoption after about 6 weeks in our medical care, and his sister Jade will also be there.
Yeah, and I just wanted to bring up one quick thing. Murad, could you hand me that trophy right there?
Uh-oh.
Ben didn't know about this, but Ben, who controls our Facebook page,
I don't know why you say control, but
reached 50,000 likes this week on Facebook, and we got him this trophy of himself ripping his shirt off.
It's not really me, it's the Hulk, but I kind of like it. It's if people really knew me, that's what I would be like inside, ripping off my shirt with those abs. Anyway.
So, without further ado, we're going to throw to Bolt Upright and Brock Slater for pet news. Hey everybody, welcome to Pet News.
Dun-dun-dun-dun, pet news.
I'm Brock Slater.
And I'm Bolt Upright. And we're bringing you the pet news. Hey Rob, you heard all about Caesar Milan, didn't you? You did. Do you think he's going to be in the doghouse? Okay.
I think he's in the doghouse.
He is. If you don't know, Caesar Milan is now under investigation for alleged animal cruelty for an episode that was shown in Caesar 911. One of Caesar's techniques is to expose animals to something that they don't really like. For example, this dog didn't really get along with the pig. So he thought it would be great to have the pig and dog together. And unfortunately, the dog nipped at the pig, which required a little bit of medical care. Caesar says it was all fine. The dog is great. And the pig is fine too. Dog training is, it's subjective to a lot of people. And we here at the Santa Fe Animal Shelter believe in positive reinforcement. Oops. Thank you, Brock.
You're welcome.
We here at the Son of Animal Shelter really believe in positive reinforcement. We'll find out eventually what happens to Caesar, but if you have any questions about behavior, you can always give us a call, and our behavior team will be happy to help with any questions you might have about your dog or cat.
That's exactly right, Bolt.
What's up next?
We had a story somewhat locally, statewide story this week, very interesting, in which a dog brought his owner a human hand.
A what?
A human hand.
A body part?
A body part. They did some searching north of Moriarty after a community member there found a hand, what appeared to be a human hand.
Community member, you mean community canine member. A dog brought the...
Right, yeah, well, or his human found the body part that was brought to him. There was an investigation started. In the meantime, the medical examiner did some tests and found that it, in fact, was not a human hand. It was a slightly decomposed bear paw.
Yikes!
Here's a picture of what a human hand bones versus a bear paw bones look like. They're kind of similar, so you can understand where the confusion was. So, hey, just Rob, be aware that dogs bring weird stuff in. They might actually find human body parts. It's been known to happen. This wasn't, so that's good.
My dogs like to chew wood, but I don't let them to. Anyway.
Great.
So, hey, Rob, how does a polar bear end up in Santa Fe?
Oh, that's a good question. Did it swim here?
I think it's because of global warming?
Could be.
No. So... recently, our Dr. Snook was in the news for a really incredible story. Dr. Snook is on the case, as always. He was in the national news recently when a dog came in who was suffering from what we didn't know what was, but Dr. Snook quickly diagnosed it as some kind of blockage, and went in there, did some surgery, found a stuffed polar bear in his intestine.
Honey. Yeah.
Not so sweet.
Had obviously eaten a stuffed toy bear that had been kind of wandering around the house, and it caused an impaction. It's a fairly common thing to have happen to dogs. A lot of people know that happens with socks. If you notice your dog being lethargic and not eating, could be a problem. Take them into a vet to be checked out. Here's actually a video of Dr. Snook talking a little bit.
It's our exclusive with Dr. Snook.
Roll it.
The admissions building got a call that there was a man with a sick dog. Honey was pretty sick. She'd been vomiting for a week and inappetence. She hadn't eaten anything for a week, couldn't keep water down. So we went ahead and proceeded to try to diagnose what was wrong with the dog. We saw big gas patterns, and then the telltale was we palpated and you could feel that it was right there. You could feel a mass in the abdomen that wasn't supposed to be there. When we opened Honey up, we suspected a foreign body, and sure enough, there was one in the ileum. We removed Honey's foreign body, sutured her up, closed up her tummy, and now she's going to stay here for supportive care for a few days. It was a little stuffed bear is what it looks like. I think Honey's parents or her owners or whatever had some toys laying around the house, wasn't aware that she'd ingested it, and went so far and then it couldn't go any further.
You got a little nose on it.
My hope is tomorrow she'll be eating, no vomiting, and just continues to improve. In 2 weeks we take her skin sutures out, she's good to go. Just keep her away from foreign bodies.
And we're back.
And you'll be able to see a photo of the Honey and Dr. Snook and the picture that was sent around the world, even in London and South Carolina. In fact, we got a call from a really lovely woman from South Carolina who was moved by the photo, and here's what she had to say to us.
Mary Martin, my name is Janet, and I live in North Carolina. And we had an article in the paper yesterday about Honey, the little dog that had been operated, and they had I think a stuffed animal. I was so amazed at that picture of the vet and her. It looked like the dog was just cherishing that hug and that smile. And I just wanted to say how much I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Well, that was interesting, wasn't it?
Yep, and that is all the news that's fit to howl about.
Thank you, Brock.
Thank you, Bolt. Back to Rob and Ben in the studio. Thank you, Brock and Bolt.
Very informative.
Yes, that was very important information. Now we have our special guest for today's episode. Dr. Nellie Goetz is originally from Massachusetts. went to veterinary school at The Ohio State University. And
Go
is
Bucks!
Currently,
What about the Buckeyes?
currently pursuing a master's degree in public health from Johns Hopkins. And she's really passionate about zoonotic disease prevention, especially tick-borne diseases, as well as spay-neuter. In her spare time, she likes to try out new recipes, yell at the TV when Boston sports teams are losing, which is something that I
This
actually
always happens all the time, right?
Yeah.
very
that's
much
pretty much
appreciate
every season.
when
Yep.
drinking on.
Massachusetts teams lose is one of my favorite moments in sports. And
We're
then
not listening to that stuff.
spend time with her husband Matt and their menagerie of animals.
Yes.
It's true.
Can I tell you put the G in guts? No, it's true. You really. So Nellie's an incredible veterinarian, and what's great about
Stop.
her? It's true. I mean, her passion for spay neuter is just incredible. But there's one thing that a lot of people didn't really know, and I didn't even know until they were actually hired. I met them when they were on their working interview, and then I got this email saying like, "Hey, my stepson and his wife are going to be coming to work with you." I'm going like, "What?" Oh, Chris and Jean Goetz. Chris was an incredible volunteer at our cat store a few years ago, and she always talked up Matt and everything about him. So I don't know why I didn't have in my head that he was the superstar that he is until I met you, of course.
Yes.
And you're the superstarlet.
Oh, I was going to say he's the superstar of the two of us.
Anyway, how is it working with Matt here at the shelter anyway?
It's good. We don't work together every day. So since we're in different departments, we never really wanted to. You know, everyone was always, oh, are you guys going to open a practice together? You guys should work together. And we like each other too much to see each other all day, every
that's
day.
always
That's
nice
good.
to
I
know.
thought you were going to say, we don't talk anymore.
No, not at all. Me not talk, that'd be weird. Yeah, so it's great. I mean, we get to see each other sometimes for lunch. He's busy, I'm busy. So we usually don't see each other too much during the day, but it's really nice to be able to, he's more of a medicine-minded brain, and I'm more of a surgery-minded brain. So if
That
I'm,
you love spay and neutering.
Yes.
That's your passion.
Yeah.
And then what's interesting, you went to OSU, but didn't you meet him at OSU, a different OSU?
at OSU West, so Oregon State.
Oregon State,
Yes.
the Beavers.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, he was in vet school, and I was in my residency.
That's cool. So he
So-
was your teacher, right?
No, other way around.
That's what I meant. That's what I
Yes.
meant to say.
Yes.
And was he a good student?
I didn't grade him, so that was kind of the
Well, you
residence.
did in some way.
Well, yes, but
Yeah,
not
good enough,
not
apparently.
academically.
Wow, I'm glad you guys got together and they're here doing such terrific things at the shelter.
Me
really,
too.
Really,
We're very happy to
very
be
blessed
here.
to have you here.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have such talented vets, and we have a video right here of Dr. Goetz in action with a recent, really fascinating case. Here it is.
Sweetie is a 12-year-old Himalayan mix cat. 12 years in cat life is pretty much like being in your 80s in people life. So it's kind of like an 80-year-old woman having a bunch of newborns. We'll see what mother thinks. Hey, Mama. Mama, look. Mama, look. The older you get, the less likely you are to be able to A, carry a pregnancy to term, and B, have viable babies when they come out. This cat has had multiple litters. She was brought to us as part of a hoarding situation. So she came here so that she could kind of be in a clean, quiet environment to have her kittens.
All right, Mother. All right, Mother. Well, your little kids are gonna come see you, okay?
She had 4 kittens day before yesterday, and then she stopped giving birth, which is not abnormal in cats, especially cats that are in a situation where they're not really sure of where they are. She's not at home, she's in a different environment. And then she had 1 more kitten yesterday that was a stillborn. And Dr. Steckety did some radiographs yesterday to see if she still had any kittens left because she wasn't in labor at all anymore. She had 1 kitten left. And so we decided to give her overnight to see if she would have it by herself, which she didn't. We needed to go in and do an emergency surgery and get that kitten out.
You have this tiny life in your hand, and even though they have a heartbeat, doesn't mean that they start breathing right away. So you really have to like fight the clock to get them to start taking breaths. And so you start with like having oxygen on them, and you're whelping them, and you're warming them up with your hands. And Dr. Goetz was helping. She was giving me drug doses in order to get them to start breathing on their own.
Can you pull up like an itty bitty teeny tiny dose of albuterol?
That was hard. They're too young. They have no fight, and so you have to be that fight for them.
Okay, you can go ahead and relax.
We took the kitten out of the uterus. It did have a heartbeat. It was very, very small. We were able to stimulate it and give it some drugs to get it to breathe on its own.
We got that kitten warm and breathing.
Trying to get away?
So the fact that she actually has 4 right now seemingly healthy and normal kittens is pretty surprising considering her age.
You know, it's good that she's been spayed. She never has to go through this again. I think that old cat deserves a really, really good home. Well, she's old enough that like there's nothing else for her to need but to like lay on a windowsill all day and like be happy in the sun.
Powerful piece, Nellie. Thank you.
Pretty amazing working here.
Thanks, Nellie. And you know, that piece begs the question, what is it like to work with these animals on an emotional level? You know, it's how do you deal with the sort of things that you're passionate about, which include these zoonotic diseases and obviously being in a hospital, the passing away of some of these animals that you have to try to fix.
Well, I think one of the reasons Matt and I really wanted to come work here is because we have the opportunity here to do so much for so many animals. There aren't a lot of shelters across the country that are gifted with the ability to do as much as this particular shelter is. And, you know, there are always going to be things in veterinary medicine that may not go the way that you want them to go. You know, we do also have the ability as veterinarians to do humane euthanasia for animals who are suffering. That's one of the gifts that we are able to give back to the animals and their owners. Unfortunately, that does at times put a lot of stress on those of us that are vets, those of us that are vet techs, assistants, and everybody that's involved with these cases. And so it can be really difficult. One of the things that is really important is to have a good support system, which definitely exists here. It's funny because growing up, I never thought, well, I'm not sure I ever thought I was going to get married, but I definitely never thought I was going to marry a veterinarian because I thought, you know, everyone says, all you're going to do is talk about work. That's all you're going to do is talk about work. And we actually don't talk about work that much outside of work, but what's really nice is that there's that built-in understanding. So, you know, he knows if I've had a bad day because I had a bad outcome with something, or I'm frustrated with myself because something didn't go the way that I thought that it was going to. And the same thing for him. It's really nice to have that kind of built-in support system. So, and it just is one of those things where every euthanasia is difficult. I've been a vet for 10 years, 11 years. I still cry every time. I might not cry right away, but I cry when I go home. So,
you know, what I think is really interesting about shelter animals and animal sheltering is that we get these stray homeless animals. They're like a blank slate.
Mm-hmm.
They've lived their lives up to so, and all of a sudden you have to jump in.
Yep.
So it really takes a talented, dedicated person to jump in there and figure out what's going on, right?
It doesn't. It's an interesting field because there's so many different things that may be going on with them. And so, you know, you may have a case that comes in that got hit by a car, and they may have had other things leading up to that. Right. You know, they may have been out in the cold all night, or, you know, certain other things that are going on, and it's kind of like little pieces of a puzzle that you have to put together to try to get the best outcome for that animal.
Right,
So.
yeah. Behind every case that you have is not just tissue and bone. It's an entire story behind that.
It's a mystery in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
It is. Yeah.
And it's fascinating, but obviously also pretty emotionally, you know, tough to deal with sometimes.
It can be.
There are also miraculous things that happen at the shelter every day. I mean, obviously, we're so lucky to have such gifted veterinarians that do have a huge amount of positive outcomes with really, really desperate cases.
I think most of our cases are positive. Right?
Yes, yes,
like,
absolutely.
So I'm sure you're proud of the days that, you know, I'm sure what I'm saying is that there's a balance. There's days you come home sad, and there's days where you accomplish something incredible.
There's many more good days than sad days, for sure.
And do you have a recent story of something that happened that?
Actually, we have a cat in, well, there's several, but we have a cat in the clinic right now that came in with head trauma. And she obviously had been owned at some point because she had a little collar on with rhinestones on it. But she's very, very old, and she came in cold and underweight and pretty much comatose. And she's in the office right now walking around and eating and meowing.
She's blind too, right?
She's blind, yeah. So that's probably from the head trauma. But she is doing way better than we thought she was.
It's just really
when she
amazing
first
how
came in.
some of these animals come really completely just, in a lot of ways, just destroyed in so many different ways. And then after a few days, after being here, knowing that they're safe after we heal them, they just turn around and become these loving animals like little Pancho here.
Yes, little Panchito. He's had a rough life before he came here.
And it's uncommon. I mean, not obviously we're really, again, we've said it a number of times just this show, but really lucky to be able to have such amazing veterinarians, and it's really the staff that are so committed and the organization's leadership that allow us to do to go above and beyond where a lot of shelters would not be able to. And of course to our donors and supporters, that's what
it's
we do.
huge. Yeah, it's a huge thing. There have been shelters. The last shelter I was at, I didn't work at the shelter. I worked at the low-cost clinic and also did spay-neuter there. But they're most of the cases here that we see that we take on, they wouldn't have had the capacity to do that.
Spay-neuter is really your passion, right? And why is that?
I started out in large animal, and I just didn't feel like I was doing a service for the community that I lived in. For the animals, you always are typically when you're a vet, but I didn't really feel like I was making a difference on a little bit of a larger scale. And so I kind of fell into spay neuter really because I did a surgery residency. I wanted to keep doing surgery. I like it. I'm good at it. And then I started doing spay neuter, and I was like, wow, I could really put all of these different things together. And
really
make
a difference when you spay neuter an animal, saving an animal from overpopulation.
Yep.
So Nellie, as you know, you do your primary work at our clinic here at the shelter clinic, but I did want to point out that her husband Matt is at our public hospital, a Claire Thaw Animal Hospital, and it's open to the public. So I'd urge people to come down and try and visit
Absolutely.
Nellie actually, and bring your pet in. We'd love that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, they're hospitals in the same building, but Nellie helps the shelter animals, the ones that come to us that we help rehabilitate, and Matt is, like you said, owned animals.
Yes,
which we have a clinic for here too, or a hospital here for too. So if
you're
looking for a vet, come on down.
And soon we'll be open every day.
Yeah,
that's right, in May.
7 days a week.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Nellie, for coming on.
Guys.
That was really interesting, and thank you for helping Mama Cat out there as well.
Happy to do it.
And now that surprise you've all been waiting for. As you know, we recently had National Puppy Day here, and here is a little video we put together for you.
Who doesn't love puppies? Well, that was a fun video. Thank you. Thank you, Jamie, our videographer, amazing videographer, doing that. And thank you, Dr. Nellie Goetz, for being here. And do you know how I love to pronounce Goetz? Because I pronounce it properly, right?
Well, you are.
No,
yes,
that is Goetz.
Yes,
and
it
Justin
is
says goats.
Yeah,
it's not goats, it's Goetz.
Goats and
Goetz.
Goetez and every iteration. Sometimes I wonder why I changed my name.
So, yeah. Why did you change? I know. It was like Carter, right? Now,
Driscoll. You're close.
Driscoll. So, anyway, yeah, Nellie is an incredible spay-neuter surgeon, and she'll probably be out on our mobile clinic soon, snipping and cutting and helping the decrease animals out there and making sure that the fewer animals suffer because of animal overpopulation. And I wanted to say thank you to Pancho and thank you to our listeners and viewers. You know, it's really important that you show your support for the shelter by liking us, reviewing us, and also supporting us in any way you can so we can bring these incredible stories to you every single week and help us continue to do the good work that Nellie is doing here.
Yeah, and if you need to forward a friend on to the podcast, they can find it on their iPhone, Android phone, Facebook, our website, SoundCloud.
There's so many places. You can
Pretty
call
much
me
everywhere.
and I'll just start recording. And you can just call me and I'll put it on the phone. You can listen to it.
FaceTime.
You can just come right in and watch it with us.
Yeah.
We are a nonprofit, so we do survive on donations. We're not taxpayer funded, so if you have the capacity to do so, please remember to give. You can find that at our webpage is sfhumanesociety.org, And please remember to send us, if you have story ideas, photos, suggestions, whatever, we're open to it. Send us those ideas at podcast@sfhumanesociety.org. That is PAWEDCAST at sfhumanesociety.org.
And this week, we'd really like to, from me and for Rob, we'd like to thank Jamie, our videographer, Murad, our producer, Evelyn, who's our director of growth, who helps make this possible, and especially you, who also make this possible. Sorry, Poncho.
Little Poncho.
And we really want you to go out and help make a difference for all animals. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Go out and make a difference in our animal world. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. I'll just say something like, "Wow, Nellie, that was amazing." Okay, ready? Wait, we gotta do Rob here.
Rob.
He needs a minute.
Good.
5, 4.
Oh, thanks, Nellie. Damn you, Rob. Well, Nellie, thanks.
Thank you.